In my experience, each being, in this case we'll talk about human beings, could be any being, from a amoeba to a human being or an ant. But each human being is sort of a focal point through which existence experiences itself. That's not the way that we're taught, I'm very well aware. You know, we're usually taught that we brand you with a name and then we give you a history that starts to march onward, and and you get this very solid sort of identity. We'll be more than happy to tell you what it is and when it's right and when it's wrong and if it's worthy and if it's not worthy, and that will be you, kid, for the rest of your life. Now you're allowed to be as miserable as the rest of us. But this is sort of in a sense, it's kind of a optical illusion. It's a trained and learned way of experiencing life. But, it's kind of like walking. Once we've been trained at it well enough, it's automatic, right? Like, you don't have to think about how to walk. But when you first started, each step felt awkward and took a great amount of concentration and determination just to take a few steps. As any of you who've watched little children learning how to walk, you see the great determination in their attempt to do it, and you can see how challenging it is. They're learning a brand new skill, a skill that for now, for those in this room, is something that we do without even thinking about it. It's so ingrained. We've learned it well. And so is sort of egoing is a kind of skill that we learn well, unfortunately. And to the extent that we learn it well, and we're brought into the erroneous conclusion that ideas of ourself are ourself, to that extent, we don't experience life through this kind of point of coming together. As I said, each human being, each being is a focal point through which existence experiences itself. Existence, just a word now. I could say life if I wanted to be really ordinary. I could say the infinite if I wanted to be impressive. I could easily say Buddha nature or the Christ nature, or, all these words are signifying the totality of life rather than the part of life. And this is where, in the heart, is through the place through which we ultimately awaken to perceiving life. It's very profoundly different to experience life through as the focal point through which existence experiences itself. It's very different than experience life that way than experiencing life as me trying to make my way in this immensity of life, right? There's no way that me can't at some level, even a very well-adapted me, isn't at some level being driven by fear. Right? If you're just a little teeny being in the immensity of life, life can wipe you out at any moment, and the only certainty about life is that one day it will. It's an intimidating way to go through life. I think it's part of the spiritual impulse of just whether it's understood in a clear way, especially initially, or not. But part of the spiritual thrust, I think the authentic spiritual thrust, is just a sense of wanting to break out or be free of that sort of internalized sense of confinement, When you just want to get outside of yourself for a moment, to experience something, to not experience life through this lens, right? Through the prism of me. A lot of the spiritual yearning is essentially a yearning to connect with a different way of experiencing life.